sometimes people are dying. Now this could be Charlottesville 2 weeks ago, or it could be Detroit 50 years ago, or it could be Richmond, Virginia and Washington, D.C. 150 years ago in the Civil War. Chaos reigns. Or maybe it's not people. Maybe it's the ground. 40 years ago, Mount St. Helens blew up and turned the state of Washington into a mess. 2,000 years ago, Mount Vesuvius blew up and turned Pompeii into a tomb. We have diseases. Autism in 2017 takes children apart. Bubonic plague in 1450 took whole communities apart. This morning, as we speak right now, the city of Houston and Rockport and all of Texas is under feet of water. In 1854, a hurricane hit north of the Golden Gate Bridge and brought devastation and violence to Northern California. Amazing. We have become used to that. That's what happens. That is the chaos, the randomness, the violence, the destruction we live in. And that's normal for us, isn't it? But that is not the way that God created the heavens and the earth. That is not the way this was designed. In the beginning, He created something out of nothing, and there was a big bang. Now, it's not the Big Bang that has so recently been written about in the late 20th century scientific journals that talks about one little atom exploding into all the material in the universe in this chaotic, random explosion, and then settling into this intricate mechanic of our universe. That's a very recent thought. No, our Big Bang is much more documented, much more rational than that. We see a big bang from a maker who was intentional, and who was artistic, and who was elegant. We see a creator who expressed his personality and his purpose and his heart. We see a creator who loves to create things and then who cares about the creation he puts together. And what he creates is not random or not arbitrary or not erratic. It is deliberate. And it works. And it was good. Now look at how he did this. The first few days of creation, he creates places. On day 1, he creates light and dark. On day 2, he creates sky and water. And on day 3, he creates land. And then look at the next 3 days. Day 4, he created light and dark. Day 1, now he's creating the sun and the moon and the stars for light and dark. Day 5, he's created sky and water. Now he fills those with birds and fishes. And day 6, he created the land. And day 3, day 6, he creates the animals that are on that land. Now this is important because on day 6, he not only created animals, but he created something more. He created something different, something special. He created his crowning achievement. And his crowning achievement has only a 1% difference in the DNA from a simple chimpanzee. But into that special creation, he breathed his life. And he gave that special creation his image. And he created us. As we look at how he went about this process of creation, we realize that this creator has a personality. And we realize that he is a relational creator. He is a God who desires connection and fellowship and our company. He created us carefully and purposefully and deliberately. And he chooses us, and he chooses to love us. And he chooses to care for us. We are not random. We are not an accident. We are intentional. And we're part of a whole creation which is good. And he says, this is your place. This is paradise. Eat from the tree of life forever. Go out and have families. Be with me, and I am going to hang out with you, and it is only good. We're going to enjoy everything here. Just don't put your hand on the stove, and don't go play in the freeway. And that tree over there, the one that knowledge good and evil, so don't eat from that. Everything else, just go out and do it. And it was good. But then something happened, didn't it? Somewhere in this creation, God allowed something to come in that was not part of this great garden. And our ancestors bumped into it. And they got infected. And they got infected, and the infection was so bad, it changed everything. And these people who were given everything and just in this wonderful relationship began to ask questions that were not helpful. They began to be like that little kid who's told, you go to bed at 7:30, and the kid dutifully says yes. And everything's good in his household. And then one day at 7:30 he says, hey, wait a minute. I don't want to go to bed at 7. Who are you to tell me I have to go to bed at 7? I don't want to go to bed at 7:30. I want to go to bed at 8:30. And things change. They're like that little kid, May. If you remember my little granddaughter who seemed to take over life here when I was in church. Unabashedly, uninhibited, just running around. Innocent of any consequences. But that little kid who becomes very self-conscious and very embarrassed and unsure of themselves. And people who once were connected to their God now become ashamed and deceit-filled. And they can't even see him any longer. And then they watch it get worse. They watch it really fall apart. This infection is so severe it begins to change the very world around them, and it messes up the places. And the people begin to say, wait a minute, this place is really screwed up. This isn't good. Well, what kind of God would make this? Maybe that God isn't good. Maybe that's all baloney. Maybe I'm good, since he's not. Maybe I need to take care of this. And that gallon of fresh water that was pure and clean becomes poison. And we are only 3 chapters into the Bible when this happens. So we find ourselves separated from what's good, living by our own plans and desires, and no longer connected to our Maker, because we're either so sure of ourselves or embarrassed. We're not made this way. We were not made to be disconnected from our God. And we're only 3 chapters into his creation. And so what does he do about that? We're 3 chapters into the story here. How many chapters are there in the Bible? Well, I want you to know I counted them all. I Googled them. But I want you to know I Googled them all by myself. You know how many chapters there are? 1,189. 1,189 chapters. If each chapter was an inch, my finger is about 3 inches. If each chapter was an inch, and I start right here at the altar, and I put my 3-inch finger right here, the story is really great for these 3 inches. And then at the end of this 3 inches, it stinks. It falls apart. But the Bible is more than 3 chapters, isn't it? It's 1,186 more chapters. Because for the remaining chapters of the Bible, for the next 100 feet, God is saying, this world got broken, and I am going to come and redeem you and bring you back. He spends 1,186 chapters, 1,186 inches, 100 feet of this distance, grabbing us and bringing us back. You know how far 100 feet is? Is it back to the back of the narthex? It's all the way to the parking lot. When you leave today, you're going to see a red pole stuck in the island in the middle of the parking lot. That's how far it is from this brokenness to the future. That's how much time God spends redeeming us, grabbing us, bringing us back in. That is the story we are in. We are in this period between the fall and the brokenness and, spoiler alert, the end of the story, which is good. In the end of the story, He restores it all. The whole garden, all that stuff, and we are there with Him. Right now, we're in the middle, and it is looking chaotic, and it is looking destructive, and it is fraught with difficulty. But the end of the story looms out there for us. And God is bringing us to that end. This is a story about paradise lost and paradise regained and our place in it. This is the story we are in. This is His story. This is our story. And I am looking forward to with you, for the next 31 weeks to march through this story together so we can see how much our Lord values each and every one of us. In Jesus' name, amen.
We have a video that goes with it, guys.